Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all my people out there in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege and honor of serving as the host of the Black USA News Morning Show. I want to, as always, I want to start off giving a big shout out to my team, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan and Brandy Raymar. They do an amazing job of supporting the content that we provide, really making sure that we have great topics, great guests, really help working it through and building our sponsorship and advertising platform. Like I say all the time, for those of you all who've ever had the fortune or misfortune of being in charge or leading something, you know how important it is to have people who have your back and that you can count on. And I never want an opportunity to pass where I don't give a shout out to my team. So let's see what else we got. Oh, today we're gonna have an amazing show. You all know how I like to bring my favorite guests back a couple of times. Keep bringing them back in rotation. This is a guest that I'm hoping stays in heavy rotation, like all the time. Um, Lisa Morgan. And one of the reasons I want to make sure that she stays in rotation, aside from she's a wonderful person and a really great friend of mine, because I told y'all I know dope people. I don't even understand why y'all don't listen to me. Dope people. Like, honestly, I could be a drug dealer. I should be on the wire for the dope people that I know. I be slinging them around. Okay, separate metaphor. I'm sorry. Aside from the fact that she's a friend of mine and dope, she is incredibly knowledgeable on how small businesses and individuals can tell their stories, especially organizations and people who do work in community. Like, she's really great with that. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what happens, that things that small businesses and social programs, social entrepreneurs can do to maybe grab some media attention, and sometimes just figuring out if you really want media attention. Because see, this is the thing. I tell you all the time, I need to have a show about the conversations I have before the show and about the show to come, because we had a wonderful conversation about, is all media good media? And I don't know, we're gonna, because it was so free and flowing, man. It was just like like sometimes, you know what it is, sometimes when you had those people in your life where like you spit, they spit, it's like a cipher, you know what I mean? Like, we rappers, but neither one of us are rappers. And you know what, I apologize for saying that. I don't want to level set expectations. There will be no harmony today, no freestyle. We're gonna give information, not beats, because I only drop facts. Okay, sorry. I hung out with okay, so separate thing. Black USA News is hosting a STEM camp this summer. And Donnie called me and he was like, yo, I want you to work with it. I said, are you gonna have kids at the STEM camp? He said, yeah. I was like, oh, uh you want me to coordinate it? He's like, no, I want you to work with the kids. I was like, oh, like 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 college students? He was like, nah, middle school students. Bah, bah, bah. That's what I heard in my head, like that. Bah, bah, bah. So I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And so what we came up with, it's amazing, and I'm so excited about it. We're going to teach them STEM, but with a very practical application. We are going to show them, all right, we're going to train them to be social media coordinators, and the STEM activity is getting more likes. Well, William, how is getting likes on Facebook or TikTok or whatever part of STEM? That's social media. That's not math. You don't even got to count. What, you want to count the likes? Ha ha ha. And for you, first, fuck you, because we talked about that on a previous show. So fuck you first and foremost. Second, what you need to understand is that math is part of a universal ability to answer questions. It's an analytical tool. And so getting likes isn't so much as just posting stuff to see. That's what a lot of people do who don't understand the math behind it. But when you understand the math behind it, you realize that some of the data is quantitative, but some of it is also qualitative. Sometimes you go out and you have to talk to people and find out information about them so that you can take that and turn that into data that you can analyze. Analyzing data, that's a mathematic skill. And then once you get the data analyzed and you figure out the values and you report the data and you figure out the practical application, then you have to figure out what decision you want to make. What mathematics skill can we use to make decisions? Probability. Probability. That's mathematics. And we make decisions about what content gets put in there, and then we look at the results of those decisions. That's evaluation. That's statistics. And then in the longer term, as they start to understand how social media works and start seeing the correlation between their behavior, their decision, their content, and these outcomes, these likes, they start to understand the nature of algorithms. It causes them to be more curious about how all this stuff works in the background, because now they get to see how their impact and their input can change outcomes. So once you start thinking that you have some control, you start going like, well, wait a minute. If I did this and I got 2 legs, I wonder if I did that, maybe I can get 2 more. And then you do that and you go like, oh, that got me nothing. All right, now I have 2 data points. Did you say data? Okay, sorry. You know what? I got so excited. I forgot that I'm doing a whole show. I'm doing like a whole commercial for our STEM camp. All that to say, we're doing a STEM camp this summer. I feel kind of let down. And I feel like it's in the middle of a story and I realized like, dude, the clock is still ticking and you are still talking about this STEM camp. This is okay. On my show notes, because, we got to talk about the show notes. I tried, I don't keep it 100 with y'all, but I do keep it 85. One of the things on the show notes was this part of it was only supposed to be 30 seconds up to a minute. I just looked at the clock. I've been going for a while, and I got a whole guest backstage, so I apologize. You know what though? We're gonna keep it 85. I'm not gonna edit this out or nothing. This is just gonna be the okay. Take two. So we're happy to have our guest come to us today, Lisa Morgan, coming all the way from Denton, Texas. Hey, Lisa, how you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
Welcome back. Welcome back. I've had coffee. Yeah, so that's probably gonna be a thing for the rest of the interview. So I'm glad we have enough time in, so you're very used to this. Thank you. I appreciate you. So there may be some people who don't follow us regularly, and that's really sad about you. Yes, you. That's sad that you don't follow us regularly and you've never seen this woman on the show before. So if they haven't, if they are one of those sad souls who have not seen you on our show before, tell them a little bit about you so they can understand. When I tell them I know dope people, I ain't lying.
Okay, well, that seems to be unexpected tall order for me, but here we go. I am a communicator by profession. I've been doing nonprofit, now corporate communications now for the better part of 20 years. Currently, I am affiliated with Thomson Reuters, and previously I was with American Red Cross. So I have been providing communications, media relations, and public relations for a long time, and happy to come on today and share a little bit about what small businesses need to know to promote their businesses and work with media.
So this is another thing about having dope people in your life. Sometimes they forget how dope they are and they think you're not going to tell everybody what else is going on. Because she told you about the resume stuff like, hello, my name is Lisa and my resume says that I've worked here, da, da, da. But I've actually seen her in practice, and not just with places that find her professionally attached. I've seen her do amazing things with nonprofit and community-based organizations, including Delta Sigma Theta at the national and local level, with local nonprofits in the community, with churches, religious organizations. So I just want to, again, I want to make sure they understand when you come in, you start talking about real stuff, like you got some credentials and experience. This ain't just you talking off the side of your head. Okay. I apologize.
All right.
Make it sure.
I appreciate it.
This is gonna be a rough interview, I can tell now. All right, so when you were working with clients, right? So they come on, they said, oh, and so I'm assuming this happens. If this isn't the way that they show up, let me know. They show up and they're like, hey, I'm launching a new product, or I'm launching my business, and I want to see if I can get press coverage, and I want to do press releases. I want to have a big opening, blah, blah, blah. when they say things like that, or when they come with these grandiose ideas, how would you suggest that they prepare to see if they can make them come true?
Well, first I need to know, and I need them to determine if they really think that their business launch is press worthy. One of the criteria that we use in the field to determine if something is press worthy is it relevant? Is it timely? Is it something that's pressing, or is it something that's unique? Um,
Mm.
so really sitting down and asking themselves those questions, and before we even get to the point of developing a press release to send out, we need to start familiarizing the media with our organization. And
Mm.
so you need to take some steps to develop some media relations. Is it what would be the, if you're looking at print publications, which I actually encourage people to start there. That's the easiest, that's the low hanging fruit. And it's usually the easiest to make an entry into the media relations world. And you can use your small community based publications. They're always looking for content.
Mhm.
Want to identify the editorial calendar, see if there are any special um, subjects that they're going to cover in the next 3 to 6 months. Does any of their are any of their special subjects things that align with your business and your product that maybe you could pitch to them? And the media pitch is very important. Why they should cover or feature you as part of this larger segment that they're doing. You want to
Oh, wow.
provide.
I'm sorry, like, yeah, I'm sitting here taking notes. I'm like, okay, wait, do I have that one? I gotta check, make sure I add these to my notes. I'm glad we record these for, because this is. It seems like there's gonna be a pop quiz and like capitalism on this. Like,
No pop quiz, no pop quiz.
okay, so you were talking about the external, I mean, the editorial calendar, and really making sure that they understand that there is some interest to what you're doing.
Absolutely. An example would be March is Women's History Month. And
Hmm.
so, if you are a woman-owned business, this would be a perfect time to see if the one of your community or local newspaper is doing something special where they're featuring or spotlighting any women-owned businesses, or women community leaders or women managed and operated nonprofit organizations. Are they doing anything like that? If they are, this is a perfect time to send them information, to introduce your organization or your business to them. Tell them that you're interested, if there's an opportunity for you to share a little bit more about your organization, your leadership, so that they can get um, familiar with you and feel comfortable in establishing that relationship and talking with you and interviewing.
Okay, so I realized that in listening to you talk, one of the big things is that a lot of people don't even understand how a media organization works. It is they are consumers of media, so they know where to get the newspaper from, and where to watch, how to log on. Well, some of them don't even know how to log on, but that's a separate conversation later on for other things. But how do you talk about familiarize yourself with the newspaper? And and I know we've talked about this before, when you've had conversation with clients and they're like, familiarize yourself. Well, what do you know about the media? Oh, I watch the news every morning. It's like, yeah, that's not really familiarizing yourself with the media. I told y'all want to hear the conversation before the conversation. It'd be fire, but let's give them a warm version of what we were talking about before.
So, familiarizing yourself with the media is really understanding. Like I said, I'm focusing in right now on print publications. So, this could
Mhm.
be your newspapers, your weekly magazines. Maybe it's a weekly newspaper, maybe it's a monthly magazine. So what you want to understand is what does this publication typically cover? Is this typically an African American community-based news publication, or is this one of those community lifestyle organizations? I know on occasion we need to plug into those because we need to make sure with community-based organizations that people maybe outside of the immediate area where the organization is based know and are familiar with the organization. So you want to know what's the target audience for each of these publications. Then you want to do a deep dive into who are the media contacts, like who's on the editorial team, who is the writer, if there's a special section. Is it, does William Hunter Blue only cover business, or does William Hunter Blue cover community-based organizations? Is
Mm-hmm.
William Hunter Blue the person that we talked to you about reaching out to churches? Like, is that his section of the publication? Is it churches? You want to understand which area of the publication that particular writer caters to. You want to do things when you're reaching out to the media. You want to send something to the editorial team, and you also want to send something to the writer or the contributor, so that it's getting hit in both directions. Because what's happening behind the scenes is they're having meetings and they're discussing the editorial calendar, or what content they think they want to put in the publication for the upcoming week, the upcoming month, the upcoming, quarter. So they're having conversations about this, and you want to be part of those conversations. And in order to be part of that conversation, you want to make sure that information is sliding across that news desk, and it's sliding across that reporter's desk as well.
So is there like a special way that you get to know who these people are? Are they open to talking to people? Because as a small business owner, I may feel like, how do you call the newspapers? Like, so, okay, here's a story, because, I'm an old man now and I have stories about everything. So when I was a child, maybe like 411 had come out, or I learned about it, and I saw people calling 411, and they would ask for people's numbers, and the person on the other line would just know it. So one day, I think the babysitter was asleep or something. And so I called 411 and asked them for the number to my mommy's job. And they were like, where does your mother work? At her job. Well, what's your mother's name? Mommy. Like, I don't know. There was so much information I didn't have, and I had a very narrow perspective of how it works and how this stuff, because I just saw what other people did. I saw that they pick up the phone, said words, and they got information. And it didn't work that way for me. So when I'm trying to approach the media, do I just call them and be like, hey, I'm about to open my business and you should cover it? Is there like a special format? Like, because it's a little intimidating.
Well, you shouldn't. I always like to tell people, don't be intimidated. Be respectful, but don't be intimidated.
Okay.
And so different things work for different community-based organizations. You want to tap into your network. For me, one of the local, I guess more like a regional newspaper, it's an African-American newspaper. I happen to be a member of the same sorority as the publisher. So you really want to tap into your network, use LinkedIn if you need to figure out who are the important people at the organization. See if you can get a soft introduction, and just make it exploratory. Don't necessarily make it about, oh, I want to have you feature my business. Just make it exploratory. You're trying to learn more, and you can simply reach out to the editorial team or even the advertising team and ask, hey, do you have a copy of the editorial calendar that you can send me? Where's your press kit or media kit? And they'll gladly send that information.
Press kit and media kit? Oh my God, what are all of these things? These are lots and lots of words. There's so many moving parts. So they'll just send you the editorial calendar.
They will send you the editorial calendar. Sometimes it's embedded in their press kit, their media kit, depending on how the organization is set up. And from there, like I said, it's really important that you do your homework, just like you do your homework for, before you go to a job interview, before you have an important client meeting. This is the same thing. And you want to take that same approach, and you want to do your homework. So you want to see, what is it that I have that aligns with something that they're featuring? And hopefully you have enough lead time. I know sometimes life doesn't happen that way, but hopefully you have enough lead time to where you can just send them content that is useful.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's thinking off the top of my head, but if it's a hair care business, you have a salon, but you want to try to drum up additional business.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it that you could share for free? You could just send over an informational press release that might say, contain information about, okay, well, it's getting warmer outside here for our natural hair individuals. Here's some tips that you
Mm-hmm.
can use to help keep your locks looking beautiful throughout the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
this
I'm sorry. Wonderful locks, by the way. I just thought you said locks, and I meant to tell you that earlier before the session. But go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. But these are just helpful tools that you might want to share with people. Um, just provide little nuggets of helpful information and make sure you're sending that out on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
The the word for the I guess the last few weeks for me has been consistency, and how consistency is very important in changing our trajectory on a lot of things. It's your consistency that helps you become successful. And so if you are consistent with, okay, every Tuesday morning I'm going to send them an informational press release, is this month Black Hair Care Month? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if it is, these are some of the things that I've learned, and this is why this is useful. Or these are some of the this is some information about the history of Black hair care. This is some of the history of locks. This is why all these, this is the history of braiding and why this is important. Send them little nuggets, especially this works really, really well with your small community-based publications,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always looking for content. And what we're doing is you're making an impression. The wonderful thing that I think some organizations or some people don't really know about is that within that community of people in, like, we'll say print media, they have connections with larger based media organizations as well. They have cooperative agreements. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so just because it seems like, well, I'm just sending content to this small local publication, well, that small local publication may have a relationship with the bigger newspaper in your community, and that bigger newspaper may have a relationship with one of the major market media stations in or TV stations in your market. And so what happens is they're sharing that information. Oh, okay, well, Honey Blue Locks is always sending information about Black hair care, the history of Black hair care, and things like that. How can we? Oh, we have Black Music Month coming up in June. How can we tie this in? Who are some famous musicians that have different styles of hair that is so unique, and why is this
Mm-hmm.
important? And what is the history and legacy of the locks or the braids or cornrows and things like that? What is all of this about? And you can help cultivate in steering the message and the story, and then you will be the expert that they come to interview about that.
Yeah, that is a wonderful thing to point out, that you want to stay engaged with them on a consistent basis and adapt your message as you start getting more feedback. And one of the things that people don't realize, because they know their intention, sometimes they don't realize, well, they complain about like politicians who only come around election time. It's like, I don't hear from you no other time except I know when it's election time because that's when I start getting mail. Um, and you probably don't want to be that when you're trying to develop a relationship with the press. So if you're developing a relation, if you're not developing a relationship with the press and you're just trying to get them to air your stories, what that is that that's a transactional situation. It's not a real relationship. If you stay in tune, because you're right, it's trying to get them to think about you, that you are top of mind on any of these subjects. Think about how weird it would have been between 2000 and 2015 to be an impeachment expert. Like, oh, I know I've studied impeachment and history of impeachment. And You're like, and what? But you got a lot of work and a lot of media coverage in this last administration. Same thing with, I study diseases and things like that. Most people had no idea what an Anthony Fauci was. But now, he's on covers of magazines and internationally being requested for jobs. And a lot of that has to do with the media. One of the things that you mentioned earlier is about reaching out to these print publications, and I love the idea of starting with very local print publications because, in addition to the consistency of getting them to know you, it's consistency of you knowing what to do. Like, let's think about it. You've never done a press release before in many cases. Hell, you might not even understand what it looks like. And the more you do this, the more you start sharing information, the more you perfect your craft. So let's kind of talk about the practical applications of it. Brand new small business owner or a brand new nonprofit leader, and I'm trying to figure out like, what do I need to do to really start this process? I know it's not going to happen overnight. Hell, probably won't even happen over a month or over a quarter. If I am, what kind of consistency, what kind of efforts should I think about taking? And again, I know it depends on the circumstance, but what should I start thinking about as I'm thinking, how do I build my marketing? And can I use PR instead of marketing or vice versa? It's a lot. I'm a confused small business owner. Help me.
Okay, so typically public relations professionals don't like to be in the same compared to marketing. Just going to tell you that marketing to us is really the sale. That's the sales side of it.
Okay.
What is it that you need to know to make the sale, to close the deal?
Mm-hmm.
And public relations is different. Like I said, it's about that media relationship. Mm-hmm. And so we'll say a nonprofit. One of the things that you can do if you have brand recognition in the marketplace, one of the things that you can do to capitalize on that is you could send a invitation to the media, different editorial news desk and reporters, and invite them to your place of business for a media reception and host them and send them, since we're all out and about a little bit more, send them a little media kit or press kit about your organization. What are some of the services that you provide? What are some upcoming events and activities that you have coming up? Just to say hi and hi and greet them. Make it, an in and out, come and go thing. Don't try to hold them too long because they're extremely busy people on deadline. So just tell them it's here to share the information. If an in-person thing is not your thing, you're not ready to do that yet, you can absolutely send a press kit to all of them electronically. Just say, hey, we're wanting to remind you that we're here. These are the services that we provide. These are the people in the community that we support. And oh, by the way, here are our top 3 upcoming events. And this is why these are important, and list off whatever they are. One of the fundamentals of a press release that you want to know, or even your introductory email that you're sending to the media, if it's just on a press kit, you want to give them the who, what, when, where, why, and really focus and hone in on the why. Like, why is it important, the work that you do? Why? What is it about it that's going to really move the community?
Okay. Now, one of the things that you've mentioned these kits several times. We want a press kit from them to find editorial. It's like a lot of pieces, but the one that keeps coming up is this kit. You vacillate between calling it a press kit and a media kit. It sounds like they're kind of interchangeable or contextual or whatever. But this sounds like this is the thing. Like, this is the thing. We get it from them. They want it from us. So this kit seems like it's a pretty important part of this entire PR package. Is that an accurate?
That is an accurate statement. So in your press or media kit for your organization or your business, you want to have key information about, think of it as your website, but consolidated into just some documents. So you want to be able to tell them about your organization, when you were founded, who are the key leaders, who are the press contacts? Because sometimes the press contacts are different from our key leaders.
Mm.
And like I said, in an organization, in your particularly your nonprofit organizations, maybe they have a media relations person or communications person who's cultivating those media relationships, and they would be the press contact, and they would coordinate the meeting, the interview, whatever, between the key leader or leaders and the media. You want to talk about if you have like for a nonprofit organization, if you have signature events, then you want to give some background information on those events. What
Hmm.
do you use the funds for that are raised for that event? What do you use them for? What are some of the outcomes? If you have a couple of testimonials from people that you've impacted in a positive way, you might want to include that in there as well. And then, of course, linking them, sending them a link to your website so they can learn more information if they're interested.
Okay. So how do we figure out, because there's a lot of stuff that you can include in that, like and you were very clear that you want something brief and they're busy, but at the same time, how do we, is there a template, or how would we find out how to put together this EP or the electronic press kit or the regular media kit or these things? Where would we go and find information about doing that?
Love Google. You can Google and pull up some templates for a press or media kit. Again, you're not trying to do anything extensive, no more than maybe, 3, 4 pages
Hmm.
max. Or you can just go find a business that is similar to yours or a nonprofit organization similar to yours. See if they have a press kit or media kit online. Check it out and just kind of decide, check out a few of them and see what you like, what you don't like, and
Hmm.
customize it to suit you and your business.
Okay. Okay. So it's all really about the customization. So um, when these people are having deadlines, and when you're trying to, let's say you send the press release, they look at it, what happens next? So like, I send them my electronic press kit or my press kit to uh a local media, print media publication, because I watch like USA News Morning Show with William Honolulu, special guest today, Lisa Morgan. I watched that. And I heard everything she said, and up to like the half an hour, I'm doing all of that. I send it to the media. I have this great press kit because I went to Google and YouTube University, and I put this together. It's amazing. I send it out, and they get it. What happens? Like, let's say, because again, if they don't want to do anything, we know what happens. Nobody calls us. But like, if they want to do something, are they going to call for an interview? Are they just going to take the press release or whatever and run with it? Are they going to use the press kit, or do I have to dress up? Do it? Is it Zoom? Is it virtual? Do I have to bring cookies? Is there going to be a craft services trade because they have good donuts? I'm sorry. So once I send it, what's going to happen?
So probably nothing. So
Okay.
when you send your press kit, remember this is just like it's a cold call, it's a letter of introduction to
A
who you
business
are.
card.
Okay, so yes, it's a business card. So
Okay.
that's week. So we'll say week 1, that's what you do. So week 2, I want you to really think about, okay, what do I want to tell them, or have I asked for their editorial calendar? If I have their editorial calendar, this makes it a lot easier for me to customize content from my end to them that will be appealing to them.
Hmm.
So if I have their editorial calendar, what I might do is see what's coming up that they have in the next month, and the next 4 months, and the next 6 months that's interesting.
Mm.
And so that I can align my business to. If it's your business consulting, if you know that SBA is going to be Small Business Month is coming up. In August is, I think it's Black Business Month. And so you
Hmm.
know that these are 2 big months coming up. Then what you can do is you can say, okay, well, here's some information, like this is what these are the how-tos for establishing your sole proprietorship in this area. This is why this is important. This is when you're ready to take your business to the next step. This is what you do. So you want to provide them with a press release that just gives them content for the publication. You want to have some solid quotes in there, and then just send it. Now, what typically will happen is they're going to have extra space. They're going to need something to take up that space, and they will run your entire press release. So you need to monitor the publication that, or the publications that you're targeting, because sometimes they won't tell you that they're running your press release. They'll just run it. So what you need to make sure is that, one, you're sending a really solid press release, that you're including all of the pieces. So if you have photos, anything like that, go ahead and make sure. Now, normally we would tell you don't embed it, but in this environment, embed it, because people are leery of opening links and attachments. So just go ahead and embed the images into the email and send it. And now, my fellow practitioners probably disagree with me, but sometimes I think that what's most important is the content itself. It's not necessarily style, it is the content itself, because writers can take that and tweak it to their style format for the publication. Because sometimes I think that we're so worried about making it stylistically look a certain way that we get caught up in that, and that takes away from the important stuff, which is the meat of the press release. Make sure that's there, and make sure that's solid, and send that out. Like I said, particularly if you're sharing things like, if we're about to go into swim season. So are you sharing stuff about your community center is providing swim lessons for free, or swim lessons at a discounted rate? Why is swim safety important? These are things that you can share, and people are like, oh, is your church hosting a blood drive? Okay, well, that's important, because many people are impacted, especially with us coming, I guess, out of COVID or whatever.
You know what? We're not even going to talk about COVID, because you in Texas, and y'all been a little weird on this whole thing the whole time. So we're not going to have that conversation right now, is what I'm thinking.
So, so people with health conditions, like cancer and things like that, always need blood, always. And so, is your church hosting a blood drive? Is your church in a diverse community? Is your church a diverse church? All of these things are important factors that you can get some media coverage for, because there's not enough of that happening in I would say our communities. There's just simply not enough of that type of thing happening. And so that's why, if you're a physician and you're doing some community, or a nurse and you're doing some health education, that's important. That's something that we could run, or a news publication might be interested in running, because they always want to make sure that we have healthy, vital communities.
So I like the way that you're thinking about this, and not you thinking about, you're advising us, because it's not thoughts for you. This is what you do. But it also sounds like a lot of it is on the business or the entity side, and trying to plan this out as long as possible. PR doesn't sound like something you're like, you know what, we should probably try to get some press next week. It sounds like it should be part of a longer type of plan or engagement, or can you just like decide this is what we're going to do for press and get it?
So that's tricky. That is very hard. The people who usually, or the organizations that can usually pull that off, are big brand recognized names, unless you have something that is so amazingly unique that no one has ever seen or heard before. That is the only way that you're really going to be able to turn press quickly. And even for those big name brands that I was sharing, they're still constantly cultivating their relationship with the media. They're tossing out, hey, I know that you guys, because they're checking those editorial calendars, I know that you guys have an upcoming thing on I don't know, on taxes. Okay,
Right.
well, I have 4 tax experts in my organization who would love to chat with you, and this is a little bit about them. And so you have that opportunity to do that. And like I said, big brands are constantly cultivating those relationships and trying to position their key leaders as subject matter experts or thought leaders. And
Mm-hmm.
so you want to make sure that you're positioning the right people, but it really is so much about being strategic, doing your homework, and not just flying from the, not shooting from the hip or flying from the seat of your pants, because you want to be successful. And, if it's, I don't know, readiness, disaster readiness for your community or whatever, making sure that all of the organizations in your community that do that are doing a training or of some sort, then that's something that you want to send out to the media. Hey, we're trying to make sure that our community is prepared in case a hurricane happens or
Mm-hmm.
in case a flood happens. These are some of the plans for our community. These are some of the organizations that can help. And so like I said, you want to constantly be feeding them information based, things that they can use. So it's, oh, there's a training coming up. There's some educational resources they're sharing. They have some interesting facts about community safety. They have some interesting facts about community resiliency. So make sure you're feeding information that they can use, and just kind of go from there. Like I said, it is relationship based. The only people who can get the media to, swivel or pivot really fast are people who have big brands behind them, or that celebrity. And again, that if you're dealing with a celebrity, that is a brand. So that's what's really going to get people to the point where you can get the media to respond to you in less than a week. But like I said, with everything else, it's going to take time. You're going to have to cultivate that relationship. It is not going to happen overnight. You have to level set and understand that for this one, you're going to have to take the little wins. And those little wins will build up over time into, sustainable, big win that you want. Just keep plugging away at your little win, and you will get a big win, where you'll have multiple news outlets, and then your problem will be, how do I stage this so that I can accommodate everybody at the same time?
This is a lot of great information, and I got to be honest, some of it seems doable, but it seems like a lot. And it also seems like it's more art than it is a science. It's not like if you type this in, they'll see it and they'll take it. It seems like some of it is timing, some of it is planning, some of it is whose desk did this land on? And with so many of those variables, at what point should a small business or a nonprofit seek to engage a professional's help?
Honestly, I would say as soon as possible, preferably at the beginning, because this, as you just stated, it sounds simple, but there are layers to it. There's lots of small details that a person needs to pay attention to. And I would say when your budget permits you as a business to hire a consultant to do that, and so they can take that off of your plate and they can be at the helm full time trying to make that magic happen for you.
Okay. So as soon as I can, absolutely. But when should I? Because one of the things is, and what I'm trying to get to is that this happens a lot of times with professionals, especially for many of us from communities of color who've never had to engage with these types of professionals before. We don't even have the background to know even what you do for real. Like a PR professional. Again, there's a lot of people that are like PR and marketing. they don't even, it's like those phrases are used interchangeably, and understanding the nuance apparently makes a big deal if you're trying to develop a relationship with the public through the media or through other mechanisms versus I'm just trying to get people to buy things. And so, for some of us, we don't even have the requisite skills to understand what PR really is. So how can we prepare ourselves to solicit to solicit or interview PR firms because they're good at communication, and they might be able to convince me and stuff because I don't know, they might be able to convince me to sign contracts with all these things that if I knew a little bit, or if I had been able to prepare a little bit more, I may not fall for, or I may be able to communicate even more effectively so that they can be clear on what the goals are. I get excited. I apologize. Well, I'm not apologizing. You know how it goes. You know how it
goes. So, to kind of separate that out a little bit.
Thank you.
What I would say is, make sure that if you're, I'm going to put it this way, if you're a PR professional, if you hired me today, you hired me today, and I am successful, and I get you onto the news, the prime, evening news, people hear all about your business, and the next morning you are inundated with phone calls, and to me, you need to make sure that your business on the back end is prepared if your PR person gets you opens the floodgates of customers and referrals and all of these things happening to you, then it's time for you to actually hire a professional.
Gotcha.
Because you know that you are prepared, because that's one of the critical things when we're having conversations in comms meetings and making sure that our teams are prepared is asking them, okay, if this goes out the door and we get the response that we're anticipating, are you ready? Because we set it up. Y'all gotta slam dunk it. That's all we do. We just do the setup, and you gotta score the points. So if we set it up, are you ready to handle it? And if you can't, then we need to really reevaluate the public relations strategy, and we just need to keep going at a slower pace. And that's okay, because the worst thing that you can do is go out there and get all of the media attention and then be ill prepared, because then the flip side is going to be negative media attention. And that's a whole boat that we haven't even
that you need a crisis specialist for that, and that's a different show. That's not this show. That's normally the show we do when you pay for that show. Like, even to talk about that normally comes with some coin. Just get crisis management, because if you need crisis management, you done messed up and you need to pay for that. There's a you messed up tax. Just I apologize. Yeah, FYI. So you talked about hiring a professional. PR professional when we've reached a certain area. You also mentioned when our budget allows. What kind of budget should we be allowing for? How do we even calculate? Because a lot of these things with personal services, as a lawyer, I know that if you have a case, there is a lawyer who's going to charge you $250, and then there's going to be another lawyer who's going to charge you $2,500. And as a lawyer, I'm able to help people understand some of the questions that they should ask about how do you value the 250 versus the 2,500, and also helping them kind of think through what's important to them. Because sometimes it may be that you want somebody who's going to hold your hand and explain every step of the way, so you may be willing to pay a premium price for that. Or you may be somebody who just file these papers. I know what the hell I'm doing. I just don't have a title to do it. And you may be like, I'm only going to pay but so much for it. And then you may be somewhere in between. Is it the same way for PR? And if so, how do I find my way in between the metaphorical 250 and the 2,500?
So, when you're dealing with professional services, I think you really have to identify, what is it that I need? Do I need someone? Do we have enough activity to keep this person busy every month? Do we have enough activity for them to be busy every week? What is the time frame? What does that look like? I don't know if I lost you because the screen went away. Okay. Are you back? Okay. So, what is, what is it that you actually need? Am I a small business and I just need this person to send out and do the follow up on a press
Mhm.
release once a week? Or, that's all I need them to do. I can write most of it, they can edit it and send it out. Well, okay, well, that person may just say, hey, 250 a month is fine. Am I a person that is, we have quite a bit of stuff going on, which means it might be more than
I know.
just, yeah, it might be more than just sending out one press release, a week. It might be, I need them to develop my blog. I need them to make sure that we have things on our Vimeo or YouTube channel that we're telling our story. And that's the other piece that I didn't delve into. But just because the media doesn't pick up your story doesn't mean that you are unable to tell your own story. Telling your own story and being your own press
Mhm.
is an amazing way to introduce people to your products and who you are as a business. And what's interesting is then you have those little nuggets of either video clips or photos or, interactions on your business social media account that the press can, when they're doing their homework, they can look at it and go, oh, okay, well, they have a lot of, they have a lot of followers. Their
Mhm.
customers seem to really like them. Oh, look at this, video clip of their customer using one of their products. Oh, look at them rolling out this launch of this new product. You can do your own press and tell your own story on your own platform, and that is absolutely okay. And that's another way that you can manage the story, manage what your brand looks like, manage all of that internally for your external viewers,
Mhm.
and really managing your brand. So that's another way to do it. It doesn't always have to be it doesn't always have to be media per se that you're targeting. You can take care of your own and tell your own story to your audience, and the media will come when they're ready. But like I
Yeah.
said, if you're at the point where you need the blog, you need the video clips, you need a photographer, and all of these other elements, then you probably are at the point where you need to hire communications firm and let them handle that for you, because you have enough robust content going on that you need some support in that area. And of course, for that, you're going to need to pay a little bit more.
Yeah. The one of the other pieces is that you talk about being able to articulate your needs and being able to effectively communicate with your PR professional. And that kind of goes back to what you were talking about before about the consistency of doing it. As you continue to do press release and reach out to the media and start to see what actually works a little bit and what doesn't, when you're ready to scale in and work with a PR firm, you have robust data and experience where you can actually talk to them and help guide them along the way. Um, it's interesting that as we talk a lot about, and I think this might be something something I'm gonna have to wrap up on. I just looked at the time. Damn, talking to you goes by real quick. Jeez. And I thought it was just like when we talk on the phone or whatever, but apparently on camera too, it just goes a long time. But whatever. Um, but one of the things that I really want to the note I want to end on is this concept of what the media is, because it's PR, public relations, and the media is a mechanism, a medium through which to do that. But I think that what you said about using your own platforms and things like that are helpful, because you're still trying to influence the public. One of the things that I do with some of my clients is that we send out official press releases directly to people. Sometimes we don't even send them to the press because depending on who their target market is, they don't get press releases. So it's something big for them. Like, wow, This company sends out press releases. I know Exxon sends out press releases, and Google. So if you send out press releases, you must be like Exxon and Google level. Like it provides this more formal look towards the public. And again, it's about the public's relation. So can you tell, I really want you to be, kind of end on this whole thing about making sure the importance of utilizing your platform and not getting so caught up in media that you miss the opportunity to talk to the public.
Yeah, absolutely. I really encourage people, your social media, that is like your stage for talking to your audience, your customers, your peers, whoever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But your social media platforms are your stage, and that is yours. Own it, and make sure that your content is staying on brand for your organization, and that you are staying on brand for your organization. So if you are known for making the prettiest hair bows in the world, then stay focused on that, and do what you do best and highlight that. And make sure that you're including positive customer feedback, tell stories. People
Mm-hmm.
connect with stories and not necessarily things. So what is it special? What made this hair bow special? Well, it was special because this little girl, who we just, purchased all of these hair bows, her cheer team just won the national championship competition for for 8-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And why that's important, have a picture of them, and they wore our hair bows. So you want to just tell stories that connect with people, and that they can connect with you and your products, and how your product is part of their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important. So yeah, utilize your social media, if that's Vimeo, if that's YouTube, if that's Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. I'm just gonna also stress, do the two-factor verification, or whatever it is that they have for social media, so you
Mm-hmm.
can protect your account so they don't get hacked.
Mm.
If you're doing a lot of creative pieces, I would say watermark your photos before you upload them, so people can't rip off and duplicate your work.
Tell them about it, because you got some trifling people out here. They will take your stuff. But that's why you have to listen to quality people like Miss Lisa Morgan here from Denton, Texas, or however you shall prescribe it, or pronounce it at this point. Um, so we're going to be able to get you back on again, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, cool. Because otherwise, I was going to call my therapist, and you were going to have to talk to him, and you don't want that. I'm just saying.
Yes, but yes, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to come back anytime.
Cool in the gang. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Ms. Lisa Morgan, thank you so much. And I really am looking forward to the next time you being on the show.
Well, thank you. Very happy to be here.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye. Man, yo. I would say I need to start charging y'all money to introduce y'all to my friends, but the sponsors take care of that. So I guess I can let y'all see them for free. I have quality folks in my life. I know some of the dopest people, and I am so grateful for them. So wow, we got to another end of a show. Like, how do we keep doing that? We started, it starts going really quickly, and then next thing I know, it's over. And I've had a wonderful time, and I hope that you all have gotten some really great benefit. If you have not already, make sure that you jump on and you like and subscribe. And you know what? Do me a favor. Go through and watch as much of the video, even if you just got it playing in the background. Now, don't tell the YouTube people or the Facebook people I said this, but just have us on in the background, because we're trying to get our viewership up. Again, we keep it 85 with you. We may not keep it 100, but we keep it at 85. We want you all to contribute to our success. Just make sure that you keep watching, you keep showing us love, and being you, man. I'm really grateful for you guys. Thank you very much. And we will be black tomorrow.